The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? Magic with RacingDudes.com, and I am here with a special guest handicapper, Nick Feldman. If you were in the live chat and any of our live shows or part of the comment section, you know him as @FeldyMan15. Nick, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, great to be here. Thank you for having me. And I'm just excited. Kind of a first time, long time, so to speak. So,
yeah, you've been around for a long time. And like I said, a regular person in the chat, a regular commenter in the chat. And Nick's the person that when Mike likes a horse, then I see Nick's like, oh, that's my top pick. And it's not anywhere on my ticket. I usually sit there and go, shit. All right. That's like Nick's what kind of pushes me over going, I probably made a mistake here. For people who don't know you, Nick, just real briefly, who are you? How'd you get into horse racing and how long have you been doing it?
I grew up in Wisconsin and now I live in California. So I got into horse racing around 2015 from a friend who said, hey, there's this thing called the Breeders' Cup. And it's all the best horses are racing and you can bet on it. And so back then it was, $2 exacta boxes and things like that when you hit for $20, you felt really happy and just really got into how special and cool horses are just in general, besides betting. So, and I've been hooked ever since. And then through Twitter, then kind of got found there was this whole community of people that are into this and share all their thoughts, and podcasts started. And it's just a lot of fun to follow everybody and be a part of shows like this that are really interactive with their fans. That's really cool.
Well, we're happy to have you here. And for people wondering, Mike Somich is in Las Vegas. He's been there for a couple of days now. He's there for NHC, but he's also been on VSiN Live, giving out some great. He was on for 2 hours his first day there. I was like, what was it like doing for 2 hours? Because your voice completely gone. He's like, oh, no, there's two other guys. And he said, oh, it's very professional. He's going to be rude. He's going to come back to like the live shows that we do in Magic Mike Show. And he's going to be like, what the hell is this? This is unprofessional. Starting 5 minutes late. We started on time today. As Aaron says, we must start on time. We must have guests here. So we're happy to have you here, Nick. Who is your favorite horse? Maybe not necessarily like the biggest bet that you had, but just your favorite horse of all time since you've been following it.
That's easy. Classic Empire. So he was the first horse that I really like. I watched him break his maiden, and just every race that he had was very exciting when he was 2, and that was a special year. And that year at Breeders' Cup, I remember having the win bet and the exacta, and just I really thought he was going to win the Derby, and had some bad luck out of the gate. But he's by far my favorite horse. And what's funny about that is back then I didn't know what I know now, and that was Cassie and Leparoux, and knowing that is just phenomenal. I think that horse was able to accomplish what he did.
Wow, shots fired. You're in the perfect show here, Nick. My favorite one of my earliest memories of horse racing was Classic Empire in the Grade 1 Hopeful at Saratoga. This horse was so nutty, especially as a 2-year-old. You would have thought that he was a Tapit with how crazy he was. Yeah. He got 10 strides out of the gate and literally just decided, no, I don't want to run. And he stopped on a dime and turned. And Irad Ortiz Jr. did not. But he just goes flying right off the top of him. And Classic Empire was like, yeah, no, I'm good. I don't want to race today, and just walked back to the barn. So,
yeah, he had a tough mind of his own. And when he wanted to run, though, he was really good. So.
That is a great answer. Classic Empire. That's right when I started getting into racing too. So Chris Melo says Classic Empire losing the Preakness, one of the saddest days of his life. Had a lot of friends and family pass. Wow, that is tough. Yeah, it was a close one. He did lose that to Cloud Computing, I believe, wasn't it? Yeah,
got hawked down. I was jumping. I was at a Preakness party, and at the time that was the biggest win bet I had ever made on any horse, and unfortunately didn't cash.
Oh boy. Well, hopefully we'll cash this ticket. We're doing the all stakes pick 5 at Tampa Bay Downs, which is races 7 through 11. Let's get into it, Nick. Riders up. All right, Nick, here we go. The first leg of the late pick 5 at Tampa Bay Downs on Saturday, March 11th, race 7, the Columbia Stakes, a 1-mile turf route for 10 3-year-old males. Where'd you go on top?
My top pick in this race, I went back and forth with between the 1 and the 10, and then I'm a big Irad Ortiz guy, and so I landed on the 1 on the rail. Right now at Tampa, the rail's doing pretty good. According to Brisnet, it's 16% winners are coming from post 1 through 3. This horse is 2 for 2 on turf, and looks like at the end of the year last year they decided, hey, let's see how good it is, and got some Oaks fever and put it in the Jockey Club. And I think that they're getting back to turf. It's its first race at 3 years old. If you look at the speed figs at 2 years old with some natural progression at 3, we should be right near the top of this field. And I just really kind of like this spot.
Yeah, he's I went 5 deep here. I definitely think you got to use Freedom Trail. Irad's picking up the mount for this trainer. Terra Nova is usually up at New York, and so it's interesting that he's never ridden the horse, but he's going to show up here. The Kentucky Jockey Club, yeah, it didn't go well for this horse there, but that's been a key race for a lot of horses coming out of that race. So the fact this horse was even a participant, I think, is just a plus. Didn't work out for him. That's okay. I also I liked the 10. These weren't my top 2 picks, but they were on my ticket here. Talk of the Nation for Shug. 1, 2 of the 3 starts, including last out. His debut both on turf and going 2 turns. I thought that was nice. Shug's 5 for 13 at the meet. He's 8 for 13 in the money, and Camacho's winning 25% at the meet. Are you concerned at all about the post here? Because I know you said you like the 10 as well.
I mean, a little bit. Just being outside at Tampa, I think, can be tough. But I will say, too, another stat that I saw, Shug and Camacho in the last 60 days are 60% together. So they're just absolutely on fire. And a lot of times on turf, when you see a horse win by an extreme amount of lengths, I think that's a really big sign that the horse could be really good. And I mean, this horse won by, I think, 5 lengths or 4 lengths. And it's its second turf. You should see some improvement there. And so I really like this horse a lot. And then I also like the, I guess, what did you pick on top? The 9 is a horse that I think everybody's going to see and gravitate towards. So is that a horse that you have on top?
No, I didn't actually use that. We'll come back to it because I know you used this horse. For me, top pick was a 7, Worthington. Anybody watch this show, you know I love those horses that ran on Stars of Tomorrow 2 card at Churchill Downs, and this horse was a great winner on the turf there in that allowance race. I thought looked really impressive. Went to the Dania Beach Stakes, got 3rd, but Candidate was a decent horse. Major Dude was the favorite, ended up winning pretty nicely next time out. A horse that kind of like with Freedom Trail, they're like, hey, let's try the Derby. Did it work out for him in the Sam F. Davis? Absolutely not. Did they immediately make the right decision and go right back to turf? Yes, they did. And it's Paco Lopez. I like the price on this horse, and was one that I definitely liked in the Dania Beach. Another one I liked too, on top of 5, Lights of Broadway for Mark Cassie and Jaramillo. Love this horse's chances in the Grade 3 Kitten's Joy. It was a bad day. We'll just scratch that one out. 3rd place from that race, Dude in Colorado, came back and won that turf stakes pretty nicely at Gulfstream Park last weekend. This is a much easier spot than having to face a horse like Dude in Colorado. He's first time gelding here, so that makes me think that another reason you could just scratch off the Kitten's Joy for him, that maybe he's just a little nutty, and the jockey was like, you got to snip him to make him be more successful. So first time gelding, first time Lasix for Cassie. Jaramillo, 7 for 10 in the money at the meet. He has just 1 winner, but I feel like some of that is racing luck. So you put him on a good horse like this with talent. I like his chances, and I'm getting 6-1 on him here, Nick.
Yeah, I have those. I have the 7 and Cassie horse, the 5, kind of if I was like making a C ticket. So I did notice them. I think those are most likely the horses that would beat me, I would say. So, but I do like the 9 as well. I mean, this horse was a sprinter last year, and now it's getting Saez, which is a huge jockey upgrade. And then they put it into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and he got the lead, and he turned for home with the in the stretch with the lead, and he got caught by some good horses, some good speed figures that are steadily increasing. Again, I always like the 2-year-old, the 3-year-old natural jump that you can see on debut or maybe second off here. I like the 9 a lot just on, I think, potential. Maybe it's just a really good horse. The one thing that kind of scares me on the 9 is the trainer's stats aren't the best for this situation and coming in here and doing that. But, Luis Saez can make up for a lot. So.
Yeah, I went back and forth on the 9 and ended up leaving off because I was afraid the horse was going to be too short of odds with who else I'm using. It's 7-2, deserving price because, like you said, was fourth in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf behind 2 really strong European juveniles, and then Najarok was stepping up nicely from the sprints as well. So I don't blame you for wanting to use that horse for me because the way that I structured this. Went a little chalky as well, but we'll move on here. Oh no, I'm sorry. I still have one more to talk about. My long shot here, the number 3, a Western Yarn, the local horse, Arnie Delacour. He's won 2 straight over the course in the distance, both times with Santino aboard. He's going to be back for Delacour. I think this horse with that inside draw is a sneaky chance to go gate to wire. You talked about the 9 kind of breaking out a bit farther. This horse. Is the 1 going to go to the lead? No. Is the 2 going to go to the lead? No. So the 3, I think, has an easy shot at the lead into the first turn. And depending on how the turf course plays, depending on what kind of pressure he does or doesn't get, I think the 3, especially at 12-1, I'm going to use him as a chance to go gate to wire. How do you see the pace playing out here?
I do think there is some pace signed up here, so I don't think it's going to be slow. I do know that Tampa typically is hard to wire fields regardless of the pace. It just seems like one of the angles, and I've learned this from Somich, is when you see a horse that can wire a field at Tampa, you should be paying attention to it just because typically it means it's a good horse. So kind of goes along with that line of when you can wire on synthetic at Gulfstream Park.
That works out. All right, let's move on. Second leg of the late pick 5 at Tampa Bay Downs on Saturday, March 11th. Race 8. It's the Challenger Stakes. The Michelob Ultra Challenger Stakes. Hey, I enjoy a good Michelob Ultra out on the golf course. 9 older males going a mile and a 16th on the dirt. I thought about singling here with the number 2 Skippy Longstocking. He's the 8-5 morning line favorite. I didn't end up doing it, but did you at least put Skippy on your ticket?
Yeah, he's my top choice. So it's Irad getting back on this horse. Irad and Safi, they're 50% last 60 days. This horse, although did not perform well last out, I think I really like the fact that other horses who also didn't perform well in that race have now come back to run really well. Stiletto Boy and Proxy came back to run 1-2 in the Big Cap, I think it was last weekend. Mm-hmm. And then also Defunded came back, and I mean he ran a really good race last time too, having to put away all the speed. So other horses who didn't run well that day have come back to run better. I think this horse it's just not a grade 1 type horse. I think it's probably better suited in the grade 3s, the grade 2s, and in that route. And if you look at its figures at this distance, it's got, I think, 2 or 3 triple digit, from Brisnet figures. And so I really felt like with how much speed plays at Tampa, right now, like E-style Brisnet horses at this distance at Tampa are winning at 54%. Now Skippy's an EP, but he's definitely been on the lead before. And so Irad, I'll trust him. He's got options. I expect him to be on the lead or just right off and put this horse in a good spot to win this race.
So I agree with everything that you said there, Nick. I went too deep here, and I think that if it's not Skippy Longstocking, I think it's our old friend Classic Causeway that can take him gate to wire. Remember, he did that twice last year as a 3-year-old in the Derby preps. Went gate to wire both times in the Davis and the Tampa Bay Derby. If he breaks sharp like he did in those races, if you remember, like the gates were open and he's gone. You're like, how the hell did that horse even get out of the gate that quickly? He could be gone just like, Golden Pal. But that's also a good comparison that if Golden Pal didn't get out of the gate properly, he didn't have any chance. So Classic Causeway is kind of a boom or bust. I'm happy that he's 9-2. Anything shorter than that, I'd be a little hesitant using him with Skippy as well. But I'm with you. I know that you like Classic Causeway as well, probably the gate to wire threat. what kind of a trip do you see the one Trademark having? Because I know you like him as well.
Yeah, I like Trademark to probably be in that pocket, 2 to 3, 4 off the lead. I have a feeling some are going to clear over the top of them. I included him because he's 2 for his last 2. He's 3 for 6 at the distance. It looks like a horse that just started to get pretty good at the end of its 3-year-old season, and now here we are jumping up at 4. I'm not sure, again, Vicky Oliver, her stats as a trainer in this spot, not the best, but it looks like from what I can tell, it looks like she just brought 2 good horses to this day that look like, she might have spotted them well. So I did have the one. Another pick that I actually like a lot is Tax, the 7-year-old. You got to kind of give him some, you got to be willing to throw out some races, but his last race was turf. Let's toss that. His last race after that was not terrible, but it was an off the turf event in the slop. And his last race before that was Saratoga going 10 furlongs.
In a grade 1.
Yeah. So if you get back to this distance and maybe more of this class level, he's got a couple of really good races. And so, I don't know. I kind of felt like I used the 4 horses that I felt would be like 1, 2, 3, 4 on the track. I didn't use anybody that's closing because I just don't think that this track is going to play to any of the closers.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was trying to play for a little bit of speed on the dirt, especially if if I think Classic Causeway doesn't get pressured, I think he's going to be pretty hard to reel in, even for Skippy Longstocking. I will let Tax beat me at 4-1. If Tax was double that price, sure, we'll talk. But at 4-1, you make an interesting case for it. Although Michael Myers says you said throw out some races, the emphasis on the word some.
If you're gonna get, well, I don't. Yeah, you're right. I actually, so when I cap, I don't use morning lines, and I was shocked. I'm kind of shocked that what is he, the second choice? So
yeah,
I didn't really expect him. I think well, I know it's hard for me to. Do you think that Classic Causeway will go off the definite second choice?
I do. I think depending on how close it is for him or not, I think is a sign about McPeak thinking what his chances are. Because McPeak will talk a little bit if he thinks that horse is going to blow up. So, yeah. But hey, we'll find out. This is it's an interesting race. I won't say this is a bad race. I will say this is a great betting race. And if there's horses you like underneath, if you like closers underneath to maybe hit the board, you got your pick of some long shots in here that you can choose from. But let's move on, Nick. The third leg of the late pick 5 at Tampa Bay Downs on Saturday, March 11th, race 9. The grade 2 Hillsboro Stakes, 7 older females going 1 1/8 on the turf. Chad Brown has 3 of them in here. I went too deep and just used the 2 that I liked. I'm really hoping the California Queen doesn't screw me over by leaving her off. But we both really like Shantasara. Tell me why.
I think she's getting ready to have a big year. And I think last race, it was her first one off the bench. She was behind, and you could tell that about midway through the race, Irad didn't really ask her a lot, and she just started running pretty good. And her late pace figure came back very strong. And it just looks to me like, if you remember early last year, she was supposed to be I heard there was buzz that she was supposed to be Chad's horse. And then all of a sudden Regal Glory was like, no, I'm still Regal Glory. And we saw some other ones, and it looks like maybe, she just had some issues because she didn't race a lot, and they had to get her right. Irad, in this spot, I just don't believe any of these other horses are that good. I don't trust Rogier. Gam's Mission I've liked a lot, but I just think Shantasara is better. So I'm singling Shantasara. I think this is the spot where I'm going to take a stand. If this horse wins, then I will move on, and if she does not, then I am out. But I really like her in this spot.
Yeah, all great points on Shantasara, including that really nice second in the Pegasus World Cup, Philly Mare World Cup turf, whatever the hell it's called. And again, you scratch off the Fall Harvest Stakes, that she's got a really nice running line there. 3 wins, 3 seconds, and 6 starts. Won the Grade 3 Pucker Up at this same distance. So all systems should be go. I did use the 4 Rougier as well. The other Chad Brown, not the other Chad Brown, but a huge class drop. She's competed in 6 straight Grade 1s. Like, don't forget that about Rougier. She's not a name that you're like, yeah, she's won all of those. She's competed in 6 straight Grade 1. 7 of the 8 races that she's been in America were Grade 1s. She did win the Grade 1 up at Woodbine, the EP Taylor Stakes. She won the Grade 3 Bogey in her first start for Chad Brown, after she changed trainers after the Breeders' Cup. She was a hot horse at 3 years old going into that Breeders' Cup, by the way. She's got a ton of talent. And I think the presence of Shanna Sarah, and a lot of people thinking they can single her. It's not a bad single. I think Rogier's price and her value in the pick 5 is going to grow quite a bit. And I definitely want to use her here in this position. The other horse, California Queen, neither of us touching this one for me. This feels like a horse that's got a great chance to play underneath. I think if you want to play like the 2 Chad Browns, play 6 and 4 on top, and then slot California Queen in second or third or here in those spots. That's how you can make some money. Do you give her a chance to win this, though?
Well, based off of last weekend, yes, because Zayas was on a Chad Brown and won at 12 or 13 to 1. That was the other Chad Brown. And so, one thing I will say about Rogier or California Queen is that if you remember last year in this race, Bleecker Street ran huge, and Diaz was on Bleecker Street, and I believe there was a different horse that Irad was on that people liked. I want to say it was Rocky Sky or something. So, and I think that this is it seems like this is a race. One of these horses is going to, I don't know which. Well, I think it's Shantasara. That's what I really believe just looking at it, but it wouldn't shock me if all of a sudden Rogier's flying home, or even if California Queen maybe plays a little bit more of a forward race here. And I do get scared of the 7 because Saez is literally the only early horse in this entire race. I know it's hard to wire a field at Tampa, but man, I could just see one of those things. The only thing I do feel is that horse that he's on just does not seem like it wants to finish. And so I really feel like some of these other ones, Rogier, Shantasara, they'll be good enough to make up the ground regardless of the trip for the 7.
Yeah, that was my big concern with the 7 as well, as I'm not sure that the horse wants to really, finish a race, at least going longer than a mile. We're going a mile and 1/8. But you were right, by the way. It was Rocky Sky second to Bleecker Street in this race last year. Chad Brown getting the exact. Bleecker Street was the favorite. And Rocky Sky, the third choice. Actually, I'm sorry, fourth choice in the race because Lady Spite Spear was in it as well. So, but that's where we're going with this one. Let's move on. The penultimate leg of the late pick 5 at Tampa Bay Downs on Saturday, March 11th. Race 10. It's the Grade 3 Florida Oaks. Chad Brown's got another one in here. There's 12 3-year-old fillies plus 2 also eligibles. It's a mile and 16th on the turf. Nick, who was your top pick here?
I went with the number 3, Alpha Bella. Saez and Pletcher. Although the free look looks pretty good, this Pletcher horse with Saez is going to be its 3rd turf race. It ran a winning race last time out, and it got beat because of Cairo Consort's like improbable, crazy, unbelievably fun to watch finish where she just was motoring like a freight train home after a stumble start. And I even last race that Cairo Consort got beat, I still think she ran pretty good. So I really like Alpha Bella in this spot because of her running style, her figures, I think she's got more improvement there. And this just feels like a race where she's just in a perfect spot. So I really like Alpha Bella here as my top choice.
Yeah, I'm with you for all the same reasons that you mentioned, that really nice second last time out. And you might look at this, not you specifically, Nick, but you could see like, hey, she was 16 to 1 last time out. And now she's she's 9 to 2 on the morning line. It's like, is this a wedding funeral situation? I say no. She was massively under bet last time out. She should have been 16 to 1. Hell, she was even money when she broke her maiden in the race before. So I think the 16 to 1 was just because Cairo Consort was in there taking so much money, and deservingly so. you saw an inflated odds. 9-2 actually surprised me. I thought that she'd be closer to the favorite here. So I'm with you on that for the top pick. My second choice, I'm going to use the 5, Dreaming of Snow here. 8-1, a horse that won the Suncoast Stakes last time out at Kentucky Oaks prep race, upset Wonder Wheel. Now she shows up on the turf, first time. And I thought that was interesting. Why is she on the turf? But the breeding says she should be able to handle it. I think she presents a serious pace threat. Camacho keeps them out for Bennett. They're both very high percentage jockey and trainers here. I know that it's hard for horses. You say it's hard for horses to go gate to wire at Tampa. She showed some real strong class in the Suncoast, and if she handles the turf, Nick, I think she's a pretty strong chance to win here.
Yeah, do you, and maybe you know this more than me, do you, I find, so you beat the returning champ and then you just decide to go to turf. I find that very interesting. But my thought was, is that maybe it's a timing thing? Is this a race they just felt like would be an opportunity to get another progress race in her before they go back to the dirt for another Oaks race? I'm just not sure. It's hard for me to know what's going on here. So I didn't even use her. I do think she's super dangerous. So, and I'll be, looking at this 5 probably the entire race because it's a horse that, I just decided not to use.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, but you're right. It's interesting. She's had 5 career starts, all on dirt. She's won 3 of them, including the Suncoast last out. And she was, maybe you think, well, maybe she needs Lasix. She won the Suncoast without Lasix. That doesn't mean she didn't bleed, or maybe that she does need it. But she's, 2 or 3 wins came without Lasix. The only thing I can guess is not timing. I think it's really, I think that it may be a Lasix thing, and that's the only reason I can guess, because the Suncoast didn't exactly give her enough points to go straight into the Kentucky Oaks either.
Yeah, I think she's definitely going to be dangerous. Another horse that I really liked in this spot was the Cassie horse on the outside, Ticker Tape Home. So I don't really love the post. It's way out there. So but I am using 4 horses in this spot. So, I think it's a horse that I love when a horse has good late pace, but also stretching out. And this horse, on some of the figures shows that. They also looked like they said, okay, let's see if this horse can get on the Oaks Trail. And that did not work at all. And now you're going to get back to the turf. And last year at Woodbine on the turf, ran a really nice 7 furlong race, one huge good figure that came back. And here we are at 3 years old now, trying the turf for the first time. I'm getting 15-1. Again, don't love this outside post so much, but this is another horse that I'm kind of interested in seeing how it does in this spot.
Yeah, not a horse that I use, but I know Mike and I think at least one of us used her in the Suncoast or talked about it, probably Mike. That display stakes race that two-back was on the synthetic, she missed by a half length. That was against males, so she was taking on the boys in that spot and almost won following her maiden breaking effort. I think she's a good fit for the turf here. For me, what scared me away the most was the post. You would think that she should be able to handle 2 turns being by Medaglia d'Oro out of a war front mare, but the fact that she kind of was towards the front early and completely wilted on the dirt, seemingly without much of an excuse, I thought, doesn't have me too excited here. But again, the way she broke her maiden would make you think, hey, she could have a chance here. Next up for me, Alpha Bell is my top pick, then Dream of Snow. Third up, I went with the number 6 Navy Goat at 6-1. The horse broke to maiden at Kentucky Downs. It's not an easy thing to do. Won a Florida bred stakes, going 2 turns on the synthetic. Last time out, the Ginger Brew Stakes broke pretty poorly. Still finished a good third to Cairo Consort, the undisputed division leader right now for the 3-year-old turf fillies. I thought that was a great effort. And again, a 6-1 price is something that I like here. Yeah,
and your Rosario is riding so bad right now that you're going to get improvement on whoever Centennial is. No offense to him. I think I've seen him before, but with how bad Rosario's running, I would expect, honestly, it's probably an improvement just because. So this was one of those races where I think you just have to decide how good Free Look is. And, I used her. I probably should have made it one of these situations where I say, okay, I'm going to toss her out and I'm going to try to find others. So maybe that's something like if, I know there's going to be a ticket down here later that we're using, but it's maybe something day of that, as I'm trying to get better at this, I look at this race and I say, maybe this, because of the post coming back for the first time, there's a lot in here. There's a lot of opportunity. Maybe this is toss this 10 and then really try to find some other horses that make sense.
Yeah, the last one that I used was Free Look at 2-1, and you knew she's going to be a big favorite before you even saw the lines. And her 2 stakes races, to me, they weren't good visually. The reason I'm using her is because it's Chad and Irad, and it's a Kalleward horse. It's the only one Chad has in the race. It's at Tampa, a track where he usually dominates when he brings them over on days like this. I would be very upset if I've got a short price ticket anyways for 50 cents. I'd be very upset if I missed this because I didn't use Chad, Irad, Kalleward, Turf, Philly Stake. Like, I have to use her. It's one of those things I'm going to swallow the chalk on this. But going 5 deep and I used her, I kind of avoided some of the other prices.
Yeah, and it also kind of feels like last week at Gulfstream was Chad Brown waking up out of his winter slumber. You can tell he's got more horses entered. It looks like they're unleashing the garage a little bit. And so now I see some of his horses running these. This horse kind of feels like it could be also like maybe it's not the goal, right? It's coming back, and maybe something at Keeneland or later down coming up that might be something it can be pointed towards. I don't know that, but that's just sometimes my guess. I think it only had 5 works coming into this. So not for Chad Brown, I'm sure, that's good enough, but the other thing on this horse, it just might be better than everybody. I mean, it could be, I don't know.
The last horse that you use, we haven't talked about yet, the number 8, Juniper's Moon. You're going for a bit of a long shot here. Paco Lopez going to ride for Tony Dutrow, whose brother Richard finally allowed to train again after a 10-year ban. But Juniper's Moon shows up here, went gate to wire to break the maiden over this course. To me, I didn't use because, I don't think she's fast enough to go gate to wire like she did when she won. And I also, maiden straight up to a stakes race here. It's a tough ask for her, but tell me why you like this horse.
I like this horse. It's a big purchase price. And again, one of my keys is this horse. And maybe the figure didn't come back, or maybe the time didn't come back the best, but it did wire the field. And I just think that it could be a pretty talented horse. I like that we're going straight from a maiden breaker into a stakes race. It shows confidence. This is a horse through my years where I was a lot of people will say, well, it's a good time to fade maidens the first time they're going against winners. But sometimes if you're getting 20-1 and you have a horse that I think looks pretty good or could be really good, this could be a spot for it. And I don't expect it actually to be on the lead. I think it can stalk. I don't or press and be maybe one of the first horses to kind of hit the front after the speed comes back and try to hold off some of the other horses. So that's why I used Juniper's Moon.
And Paco Lopez 5 for 12 at the meet riding right now, 42% winning rate. So you got a good jockey to put aboard here. Like Mike says, I'm not going to talk you off a 20-1 shot here. Last one for me, I did use a 12-1 long shot on the rail. Mission of Joy, Grand Motion, a horse that's won 2 straight over this course, going a mile. Going to stretch out to mile 16. She's by Kitten's Joy. Shouldn't have any trouble stretching out. Not only did she win those 2 races, the only 2 times she's tried turf and the only 2 times she's tried going 2 turns, she won them by open lengths, a combined 6 lengths for those 2 victories. We're stepping up in class, but definitely presents, I think, a very strong long shot chance being kind of the local horse. She can press the pace. She can sit off the pace, do whatever is necessary here. As long as she breaks cleanly, I think she's going to be tough. And I bet if you're at NHC, Mike Somich might be looking at a horse like Mission of Joy at 12-1 for a play like that.
Yeah, I think you made some really good points. I think I might have to adjust the ticket and make sure I don't. The more that we talk through this race, I think the first time I went through it, maybe it was because I liked Alpha Bella so much. I kind of thought, okay, if she doesn't win, then the Chad's going to win and maybe somebody else. But the more that we talk about this race, I think there's some other ones in here that are better than I kind of anticipated. So I might need to make sure that I go a little deeper.
Well, and that's why you should always, even if you listen to this show, make sure you follow us on Twitter so that you are getting any kind of updates that we might put out for our tickets. Real quick, I know this horse has come up in the chat a little bit. Neither of us used the 11 Grace Darling for trainer Brian Lynch. She's an Irish-bred filly, made her 2 starts overseas, still a maiden, came to Gulfstream Park, won her debut from last of 7 to win by 2 lengths, going 2 turns. It was 7.5 furlongs, but that for whatever reason, that still can be 2 turns at Gulfstream. With Show Up here, the horse you would think would be able to stretch out or step up a little bit. I didn't use Grace Darling, a combination of the post, and I'm like, this is maidens too. There's enough fillies in here with experience that I think can make it tough on her. And also, I know that you're not a fan of Julian Leproux. Maybe that's why you avoided the 11. But did you at least consider?
I did see it, and if this is I think if Michael Myers was on this horse, that's definitely something you're going to want to, think about, because he likes to come up with the horses like this all the time, and he's pretty good at finding them. So, again, this is one where, I usually like Julian when he's on speed. To think that he's going to get the job done from the back of the pack is hard for me to believe. But again, I like Lynch is a great trainer, and has been doing really well. So maybe sometimes you can't put too much on the jockeys, right? I mean, it still is the horse and where the trainer puts it, and but it's a tough post, and I think it's definitely another reason why, as we kind of went through here, there's a lot of horses that could jump up, and looks like their trainers at least aren't afraid of who showed up here, and they really think they have a good chance to win.
Yeah, and the race that she had, she came, like I said, came from last, but she had to run between horses. I thought visually it was good. I think, a combination of the post, the step up in class. I'll wait and see. I'll let her beat me, but what is she, 8-1? It's not bad. That might be a horse that people look at for NHC as well. All right, Nick, we got one race left here, the biggest race of the weekend. There's the race 11, the grade 3 Tampa Bay Derby. We've got a field of 12 3-year-old males going a mile and a 16th on the dirt. 50 Kentucky Derby points to the winner. I'll get it out of the way right now. I singled the 8-5 favorite Tapit Trice, your 6 horse for Todd Pletcher. Luis Saez back in the saddle. This is a horse right now I think is a legitimate top 5 Kentucky Derby contender. He's going to be a short price, but he's got the field's best trainer. He's got the highest speed rating. He's got the best visually looking performances on the track. Don't forget Shesterkin, who's in this race as well, the 9 horse, his stablemate. Shesterkin was favored when they faced each other in that allowance at Gulfstream Park. Tapit Trice is now going to be the favorite, but Tapit Trice reeled him in very nicely. So I singled him here. I know in your press ticket, you singled him as well, so we don't need to talk about him. Tell me about the other 3 horses that you're looking to use on your 50-cent ticket.
Well, I will kind of mention just one quick thing about him. One thing that
No, absolutely not. I'm kidding.
If you look at, I think it's interesting that Saez has decided to come here to ride Tapit Trice, and Secret Oath is running at Oaklawn on Saturday as well. And she projects to be running in a grade 1 race the rest of the year and potentially win the Breeders' Cup at the end of the year. And I know that I don't know the whole stories of why he's not there, but this might maybe say more about what he thinks of Angel of Empire and Instant Coffee as well, because if he's giving up Secret Oath to come here to ride this horse for the Derby, it might, I think I just think it looks really good. And if you like Tapit Trice, I think that's just another tip in the cap, so to speak. When it comes to the other 2 horses that I used, again, I love first time Irad Ortiz mounts. I just feel like he is one jockey that I know for sure I can expect that Classic Legacy is going to get the best ride of its career at this point and in this race. And this horse, if you watched last race, it broke okay, but then he kind of, I don't know if, I'm not great at knowing whether this is the jockey or the horse, so I don't put a lot of stock into this, but if you just watch it, it broke okay, but then it kind of just found itself at the back of the pack. It was wide on the first turn. It was wide down the backstretch, and then it made a move coming around the final turn and was wide and made up ground, and then kind of flattened out at the very end. But that was its first time around 2 turns, and that's first race of the year. So now we're second time around 2 turns. We're second off the layoff. We're getting Irad, and let's not forget Bill Mott. And also this is the art collector connections. I just think, like, if for whatever reason Tapit Trice just isn't the horse that everyone thinks he is, it's Irad's going to be rolling, right? So I think that he's a potential of the rest of this group, which I don't think is that good, that has a lot of opportunity for improvement. And then the other horse that I use this is one of those where if you get to the last leg and you're sitting there thinking like, I've got this wrapped up in the bag, and it's Tampa and it's dirt and it's 8.5 furlongs, and you get wired by like a 30-1. I projected that horse of Dreaming of Kona. I think last out, he just did not get the break and he was pretty much done. I do think he's the speed of the speed, and now he's inside of Shesterkin. He's inside of Champion's Dream. He's inside of Prairie Hawk. The horses to his immediate inside are not that fast out of the gate. I think he's going to be on the lead. And if Tampa's having one of those days where speed's carrying, it's also his second time around 2 turns. When he was a 2-year-old, he's had some good, strong races up front. So as just kind of a throw it in there, if I get my single home and I'm on this last leg, I find a horse that could be on the front end the whole way around.
Boy, some interesting horses in here. Zydeco is one that came up. There's coming up in the chat as well. But as far as the one that you talked about here, Nick, Dreaming of Kona didn't win the Mucho Macho Man Stakes. I know he got put up first for disqualification, but I didn't think he was winning that race. I know his path got veered out, but still, the Sam F. Davis Stakes over this course was not a good effort for him. I don't see anything changing for him in this situation. As far as the 3 Classic Legacy goes, he comes out of that race that Rutter's Men won, broke his maiden back in October, back at Belmont at the Big A, and he had Classic Legacy and Classic Catch both break their maidens next out of that race. All of those horses have not done well since they've broken their maidens, and that to me is a big concern as well, is that the Rutter's Men maiden race that we thought was going to be great on January 1st is coming to look back like, maybe no, a lot of overhyped horses there. I'm not a big fan of Litigate, and so the fact that he wasn't that close to Litigate in the Sam F. Davis turned me off. But you are going to be getting some prices on those horses. I know someone else brought up Champion's Dream, the 10 horse. He is a Kentucky Derby prep race winner. He did win the Nashua Stakes last year at Aqueduct when he was with Danny Gargan. Now he's with Mark Casse. Almost won the Pasco Stakes as a favorite. You could argue maybe he just needed the time off or to knock the rust off. The Sam F. Davis Stakes, set the pace a little bit and just completely quit about halfway through. That I didn't see any reason why I would want to play the horse here in this scenario. Did you consider the 10 at all?
I looked at him. It was one of those things where when I was determining as a price who could be on the lead, obviously there's a few in here. Shesterkin's going to go. Zydeco is going to go. Prairie Hawk, I think, is going to try to go a little bit better than he did. And so when it came to Champion's Dream being up near the lead, I just kind of felt like if we're going to do a redo on some of those horses that already run against each other, I'll just try to take the inside horse that I think will maybe make the first turn. And some of those might get, put out wider than they want. And then at that point, they're all quit. I think Tapit Trice is pretty good in the spot. And if he doesn't win, I really expect it would be Irad, but it's horse racing. And I've seen the horse that's in the third leg or the second leg that beat Wonder Wheel is kind of like a Dreaming of Kona type horse where it just kept going. And sometimes you got to play for that.
To your point on Classic Legacy, and then we'll wrap things up. Irad Ortiz Jr. did ride Shesterkin in his first 2 starts. He rode him to break the maiden very nicely, and then in the second race when he lost to Tapit Trice, he's not riding him here. That's going to Zayas, and they're adding blinkers. I'm a little scared of Shesterkin in this spot to want to touch him anywhere at 9-2. But that's our picks for the Tampa Bay Derby. We'll wrap things up here, Nick. We'll go ahead and give out our tickets one last time, and I've got yours down below in case you forget them. But I'll start off. I'm going to go for 50 cents. I'll go 1, 3, 5, 7, 10 with 2, 4 with 4, 6 with 1, 3, 5, 6, 10. And then singling the 6, Tapit Trice in the last for $50. As Aaron said so famously, if Tapit Trice doesn't win this race, they might as well just retire him. Where are you going with your tickets, starting with the 50 center?
All right, I'm going out in the first leg. I'm going 1, 10, 9 with 2, 7, 1, 4 with 6 as my single. and then with 3, 12, 10, 8, with 6, 3, 8. And that should be 72 cents. And then the $2 press ticket is 110 with 2, 7, with 6, with 3, 12, 10, with 6.
That one's going to be for $24. Over at racingnews.com, not only is it Tampa Bay Derby weekend over at Tampa Bay Downs, but you've also got the Azeri Stakes Secret Oath. I thought that was a great point that you brought up. Luis Saez is here to ride Tapit Trice for a potential Derby bout instead of being with Secret Oath, who is going to be, assuming she comes out of the race well, is going to target the Grade 1 Apple Blossom. And that's a $600,000 purse as well. So a nice payday for the winning jockey for that race. Also this weekend, the Kentucky Derby Future Wager Pool 5 opens, and then it's also the Kentucky Oaks Pool. I know you and I were talking about this a little bit, but let's go through it, Nick, if you have a minute. Horses that you kind of like for the Derby Future Wager based off of the morning line odds.
Well, the one horse that we both like isn't even available. We talked about a little bit, but these are always tough because I will say if there's a horse if you like a horse that's going to pop in one of these final preps and you want to bet it, now would be the weekend to do it because it's not running this weekend. And, if it pulls like a Taiba type effort where it could be 30, 40, 50 to 1, and then all of a sudden you win the horses that win these final preps, you're going to be, some of the favorites in the Derby. So you're not going to get the price that you want. I didn't go through it too close, but I will say intriguing to me would be the 99 to 1 Cagalistoro for Sherry DeVue. She really likes this horse. She said publicly that they're going to go to I believe the Louisiana Derby, give it one more chance. This horse is still young and developing. It's 99 to 1. So, that's worth $10. And again, if all of a sudden that horse runs a huge Louisiana Derby and wins, you're not getting 99 to 1. It'll be one of the favorites, or one of the top 5, 6 horses. It's amazing to me how many horses are, they're not going to run in the Derby.
It happens. I mean, even this late, right? Pool 5, and there's one pool left after this one. A couple horses that are new here that are international. You've got 50 to 1 on both of them. The number 6 Cairo for Aidan O'Brien. The horse has got 3 wins in 2 seconds and 5 lifetime starts, and just won an all-weather race by 2 lengths to start off his 3-year-old campaign. So watch out for him. He's by Quality Road out of a Galileo mare, so should logically handle dirt. Definitely should be able to handle distance. That could be the Aidan horse for the Derby. See if he has any better luck than he's had in the past with those horses. And then Mandarin Hero, the number 24 horse from Japan, is going to come over to California at the end of this month. He's targeting the Santa Anita Derby, and so you could actually get him at 50 to 1 on the morning line here as well. That's an interesting move that they're not trying to get in through the Japan road, which would theoretically be much easier. They're just coming over now. They're like, let's see what we have now. That's kind of a ballsy move. So we'll see what happens. Tons of questions are going to be about that horse leading up to the handicapping as well. So I can pretty much guarantee we're not going to touch that race on this show. But thank you again, Nick, for joining me. Real glad to have you pinch hit for Mike. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Feldyman. That is at FELDYMAN, number 1, number 5. Did that off the top of my head. Good luck to you this weekend. And any final thoughts before we sign off?
No, I'm just going to wish NHC is this weekend. So I'm going to wish good luck to Somich and anybody else that's playing or following along. I think that's really cool. So maybe one day I'll try to qualify for that tournament. But anyway, that's it. It's kind of the lull before the storm this weekend. And then we've got the big preps coming up at the end of March and early April. So it's fast approaching.
Make sure you tune in on Saturday. We'll have a Racing Dudes live with, I know Aaron and I will be doing it. Somich will be busy at NHC, but we'll be covering the Tampa Bay Derby and the Azeri Stakes. So it will be live. I believe that is from 2 to 3 Pacific. So here at youtube.com/Racing Dudes and racingdudes.com. Again, for Nick Feldman, for Mike Somich at NHC and the Racing Dudes crew, I'm Magic. Thanks a lot, everybody. We'll see you next time.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.